to do this in his car.
Nice.
Okay, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see we got a bunch of people on the line. Thank you for joining us today. One of these guys that I don't like to mess around. We just lost Fugler. That was weird. There you go. And he went back. She switched up. So here's what's going to happen. So I'm going to dive right into this, and this is being recorded. So for those of you who have to leave early, and this is not going to take a lot of time, and unfortunately, Kevin was trying to do this from his phone at the Kentucky Derby, so he's not going to make it. It's not because this technology does not work on a phone. So let me start off by, my name is Greg Ryder. I'm the founder of Angel Investors Network and the CEO of Angel Investors Network, and we've scheduled this call in particular to answer questions about the Mastermind Investment Club. And I want to say thank you for your time, because we are huge respecters of time. We know your time is valuable, and we want to make sure we deliver value, as well as the two guys that are with me today. Their time is extremely valuable, and I want to say thank you to you guys for joining me as well today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take 2 minutes and introduce the team of the Mastermind Investment Club for those of you who don't really know. So Kevin, who wasn't able to make it, most of you do know Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank and quote unquote the inventor of the infomercial. And one of the unique things about Kevin is he's taken over 50,000 pitches in his career, and he's like the king of consumer products and infomercials, done about, I think, $4 or $5 billion of infomercial sales. He's had multiple $100 million infomercials. So he's an amazing guy, and he's part of our team. And then we have Bernt Ullmann, who right there is in the middle of the screen. He's in New York City. And Bernt is arguably one of the top branding and fashion moguls on planet Earth. And I say that because he has helped launch the brands for multiple humongous celebrities like Adam Levine, who you may have seen on The Voice, and Nicki Minaj, and Jennifer Lopez, and Mark Anthony. In fact, he was responsible for negotiating and closing a deal, the largest celebrity deal in history for a fashion deal with Kohl's department stores, with $3.5 billion in guarantees. And prior to that in his career, he was the president of FUBU, which is Damon John's brand, which he helped grow from like 70 million to 700 million. And then from there, he went to help run Russell Simmons' brand, Fat Fashions, grow it from like 80 million to 800 million. And so we're very, very fortunate to have him on our team to help us with our investment targets regarding their brand and their branding and their fashion, and that kind of stuff. And then last but not least, we have Michael Fugler on. And I've known Michael for decades. And Michael is an investment banker with over 19 years experience in investment banking, 42 years experience as an international law and finance attorney. And he's done investment banking and merchant financing in the billions of dollars, facilitated raising this money for entrepreneurs and startups. He's helped create many, many millionaires through his career, taking companies public, to the New York Stock Exchange, to the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, and all that above. He's a very creative and critical thinker, and we're really fortunate to have him on the team to help us with structure, due diligence, and really creative thinking, so we can get the best deals for our club, as well as help protect the entrepreneurs as well. And then for those of you who don't know myself, I was fortunate to have been born to a wealthy family. I got my securities license when I was 21, bought the firm I worked for, and I was the youngest owner of a full-service investment bank in the history of the country, and that was my first big mistake in life. But needless to say, I've been involved in financing hundreds of companies myself, and I really focused on the entrepreneurs and helping them with strategy, mindset, business plans, financials, and that kind of stuff. And we started Angel Network in 1997, so we see a lot of deals. So I would say thanks, guys, for joining me today. There's my little intro. Say something so I know we can hear you.
Thanks for the introduction.
Great. Are you there, Bernt? Okay, cool. So let's dive right into some questions and answers. We've been getting lots of applications for the Mastermind Investment Club, and I wanted to get some feel from all of us as a group to answer these questions. And so one of the questions we continually get, and let me throw this to you, Michael, and obviously you want to keep this short and sweet, but people are asking, well, what kind of deals are you going to ask us to invest in? So Michael, why don't you kind of field that back and let people know, what they can expect from us in that regards?
Well, preferably the kind of deals we'll be looking at will be some that are break even or profitable is the desire. There are going to be exceptions to that rule. There are going to be companies that are up and coming that we can see they're getting ready to roll out commercialization. So they've proven their model, they've scaled it, now they're ready to scale it up, and we might want to join in that growth. So we'll be looking for companies where we have something tangible that we can put our hands around for protection, for the expectation that we're going to be able to not only get our money back, but a good return on it as well. And there are hiccups in life, but we'd like to invest in companies where we see something tangible that we can get our hands on, at least protect the principle of the investment. That'll be the structure and idea that we'll go after.
Yeah, and I'll add to that just a little bit that with the expansion of crowdfunding and the new laws and kind of what we're doing here is like we're the lead guys and we're creating a syndicate that it could be everything from a real estate deal to a business to consumer deal to a business to business to deal. We see a lot of deals. And along those lines, Bernt, why don't you kind of throw a little thought in there about, I know you see some real estate deals and some various different deals because of what your position. Why don't you talk a little bit about the kind of deals that come across your plate? Because our goal is that through the four of us, as the lead guys, we see thousands and thousands of deals. So why don't you share your thoughts on that, Bernt?
Right, absolutely. So with my background in the consumer space, obviously, and having spent 30 plus years running and building highly successful fashion brands, to some extent, we focus on kind of what we call the fame model. So fashion, art, music, and entertainment seems to kind of be our sweet spot. And when you do the largest celebrity deal ever done in history, you kind of get the pipeline of opportunity that constantly come. So you were referencing Damon John, and I ran his company, and Shark Tank, and Kevin being one of the original sharks. We actually virtually have our own Shark Tank up here every week, where all kinds of companies come and pitch us on new ideas, and it's from all levels of someone has built something and it's up and running and it's profitable, but they need help to take the company to the next level. They need funding and they need strategic advice as well. Anything like those type of companies to big companies to startups. And case in point, you just touched on the crowdfunding. And I just had a meeting with something that's very interesting, something called Ron Motor Group. And they are actually created this really sexy roadster, an electric roadster. And they're launching their campaign on crowdfunding, actually going live today. But they will also be initiating a Reg D. And why they're interested is that they're acquiring a plant in Sweden producing electric buses. And for those of you who don't know my accent, I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm originally from Norway. This is a market I understand. And there's a lot of kind of state-sponsored business there. So there will be a lot of built-in business for these guys. And this is just an example. With that deal, they get access to all Volvo technology and Fiat technology, and they get the manufacturing license to ship and produce in China. There are only 10 licenses like that in all of China. These guys will have one of them. That's one example of an opportunity that we can bring to the Mastermind Investment Club.
You know, another cool. I would like to mention a few months ago, I saw an opportunity was brought to me by one of my clients to acquire a plastics manufacturing company. And we went in, I negotiated it, I structured it, and with not that much capital, we were able to take over this plastics manufacturing company, and it's growing well, and we're looking at another acquisition for that too. So everything from, like you mentioned, crowdfunding, which could be as little as $1 million, up to mega millions in real estate. Bernt and I have been working on a couple deals right there in New York that are fairly significant in size, $20, $30 million for down payments into the hundreds of millions of dollars for the total that has some debt financing into it and everything in between. So we're not going to limit ourselves in the marketplace. We're open, but it's got to make sense. And we want to look at something that we're pretty comfortable that we can protect our enterprise and the core of our principal investment.
Yeah, and I'll finish that question by saying this. You know, people will come to us and Kevin and Bernt and I, and they say they got a hot deal. They want us to look at it. And I'll come back to them and say, well, how many deals have you seen this year? And it's like, well, just this one, or there's 3 deals or 2 deals, or I don't really look at deals. But this is a hot deal. I'm like, it's not a hot deal. I'm like, well, how do you know? You haven't even seen it. It's like, until you look at 1,000 deals a year, you don't know what a hot deal looks like, right? And really, it really is that simple. It's about deal flow, and you can talk to any successful investor that's really kind of working with these early stage companies with the higher risk, higher return type stuff. And they'll tell you it's deal flow. It's deal flow. It's deal flow. It's deal flow. So we have the DVR method of investing, and that's DVR, deal flow, vetting, and then Rolodex. And that leads me to my next question. So somebody says, well, what kind of vetting do we do? So again, I'm going to throw this to you, Michael. And again, let's try to keep it short and sweet. But we obviously have to vet deals, and we don't just like go into them and start throwing money in. But give us an example of how we might vet a deal as a group, as an individual, as an organization, as a club, that kind of gets people to the point where we actually would introduce them to our syndicate of investors to invest in.
Well, I can say two things that I would like to bring to our group's attention. Number one is, when I first started out as an attorney, I was a trial attorney, and I was into litigation. I had a great deal of experience with doing depositions and discovery, and basically going in and taking companies that you're in litigation with and peeling them back like a banana, and seeing everything from the day they were created, from their articles to their minutes, their bylaws, every contract, everything that dealt with them. Then as I moved to investment banking, I was head of corporate finance in New York and opened up an office there. And my job was to be the quarterback and the point person on every transaction that we did that was going to raise capital, both private and public. And again, it was a perfect transition from being a trial lawyer into being an investment banker, because I was able to peel the same banana back and look deep into these companies. So from a vetting perspective, the same thing that I've done for the last 2 decades, to take a company and see whether they were worthy of us taking them, put them on the New York Stock Exchange, making them public, putting them on NASDAQ, and going through all of the processes of their financials, their legal documentation, their structure, their story, to see whether it makes sense, and then take it apart, put it back together, and hope make them the best that they can be, and then take them out. And that'll be the same process that we do now.
Yeah, very cool. No, and I mean that vetting thing as a lead syndicate in a group kind of leads into Rolodex, and the vetting also, the Rolodex is part of the vetting, but it's also part of the distribution. So I'll make a comment and I'll throw it to Bernt. So when it comes to Rolodex, if we have a deal come to our table, we might call a few people in our Rolodex to verify, is this guy for real? Is this guy a phony? Is this guy a poser? Does this guy have a bad reputation? We might hire and do a little private investigation online. So I know between Bernt's Rolodex, Michael's Rolodex, Kevin's Rolodex, and my Rolodex, we typically have somebody in every sector we can make a phone call, try to, hey, what do you think of this? And the other thing about expanding our syndicate of investors is we want to get people in our syndicate that join our club that may have an expertise in biotech, may have an expertise in manufacturing or engineering. And then we would also leverage the expanded network to vet a deal as well, because we know it's about the human capital to help vet deals that goes good. And so, Bernt, do you have any insight to that as far as being able to make some phone calls and leverage your Rolodex, not only vet deals, but then to find out if that deal we can leverage our Rolodex to help grow that company?
Yeah, 100%. And so one example is something I'm working on right now, and I think this might be another great opportunity, quite frankly, for our group. And so someone came to me with proprietary technology that actually takes what I have here, this water bottle, and converts the water bottle into pellets. And the pellets can actually be made into fiber. And this fiber, they have found a way, and that's what's proprietary, where it is so fine that it can be used in garments. So this is, becoming complete social commerce. You're doing good, and no one else can do what they can do. Sounds almost too good to be true. So again, went to the Rolodex. I have made the necessary phone calls. It's the real deal.
Very cool.
They're up and running. And as an example, it's called Impact EchoWear. So it's Googleable. And they're raising, they're about to raise funds right now to take this business completely to the next level.
Wow. That's very cool. There you go. See, and again, I think that's what gives us the ability to kind of accelerate the vetting process, right? Because we can do a little bit faster because of the way we work in our Rolodex and what we're doing. So that's awesome. Okay, so let me go to another question. So one of the other questions that they said is the investment opportunities that we share with them. And again, to make it clear, is we're vetting the deals, we're finding the deals, and not only that, if you have a deal as a member and you're one of our actual members and you want to bring a deal for us to look at, we're more than happy. The more people we have bringing deals, the more deal flow we have, the better deals we have. is the people ask, well, what kind of deals? Are they equity deals? Are they debt deals? Are they convertible deals? Are they preferred deals? And I'm going to throw that to Michael first, because the answer to that question is it's a deal by deal basis. But why don't you give a little insight on how we might structure deals, and then how investors might participate based on their own personal net worth and their own liquidity.
So you had 6 questions in there. So I'm going to answer them all. I'm going to answer them all with this one word: yes.
Yes.
Yes, there will be equity. Yes, there will be debt. Yes, there will be convertibles. Yes, there will be secured preferred. There'll be unsecured. There are going to be as many type of structures as my imagination can come up with, and I have a very vivid imagination. So what generally happens, Greg, is when people are trying to put a deal together, and you have interested parties on both sides that want to make something happen, that's when I'm often called in, because generally they have difficulty figuring out what kind of structure works. So I think if we look at the last 12 months, debt deals have been very popular. And I think convertible deals have been very popular. That doesn't mean to say that that's not going to change over the next 12 months, because our marketplace is constantly changing. But the ability to put together shared interest, profit sharing, kickers, equity kickers, convertible, there's just hundreds and hundreds of ways every deal can be structured. So we just look at the deal and say, what works best for the investors, and does it work for the entrepreneur, the issuer of the transaction? So I think if we look out for the investor first, and we make sure that we have a good deal there, then if that resonates with the entity that's trying to raise the capital, then you have a winner. And if not, then you start adjusting and tweaking slightly to see where's the problem on either side and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, no, that's well said. Okay, perfect. And that leads me to another question that people ask all the time, and that is, what is the minimum investment that they can make in any particular deal? So there's a couple of thoughts there that I want to get Michael's opinion, because we really haven't talked about this yet as a group, and Bernt as well, is I'm seeing with Angel.co and some of these other syndicates and other crowdfunding platforms where you can invest as little as $5,000, $10,000, even as an accredited investor. Typically, the private placements that we've been participating in, the minimum investment is 25 to 50 grand. In some situations, $250,000. So it's all over the board. But why don't you give a little insight to your thoughts on that, Michael, as far as what would be the minimum investment? And again, the answer is going to be yes, it's all over the board. But give a little insight to your thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, I think it depends on the transaction itself, the nature of it, the size of it, and what part we're playing in it as a group. So if we roll back to, you mentioned crowdfunding, I think that satisfactory investments in crowdfunding are the limits that are set there, which are a few $1,000s. And that's because they're trying to entice people to learn more, educate themselves more, look at more transactions, and help finance small business and entrepreneurs. So I say $1,000, $2,500, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 is perfectly okay for a crowdfunding transaction, because it's going to be capped at $1 million anyway. As we move off of that and into the general solicitation that's looking at accredited investors, again, I think that it's more, what is the nature of the transaction? Let's suppose we're looking at, say, a Kevin Harrington type opportunity where he's got a terrific product. And Kevin and I talked about one a couple of months ago where he said, this company and this product is on fire. I'm moving them into Walgreens. I'm moving them into CVS. I'm moving them into Walmart. It would be really nice to have a couple $100,000 to finance their materials and their products so they could accelerate the production of their product. And that's a perfect small opportunity where you can turn over the cash fast. They can afford to pay a higher return, and it wouldn't take that much money. So, and that's on a lower scale. I think that if the magic number you want to pull out of the air, I think $5,000. If $5,000 in any way is an issue with someone, they probably need to stick into the crowdfunding arena and learn more and look more at what their finances and their ability to carry risk. I think more in the lines of 20,000 and up on an investment. 25, 50, or more, depending, if we were dealing with the deal that Bernt and I were working on 5 or 6 weeks ago, then you should be in the 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, because it was a major real estate deal and it was going to require a significant amount of money for that particular transaction. So it depends on the nature of our opportunity.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to comment on that, and let you jump in, Bernt, is that we're really looking for people that are committed to this, and they can make not one investment, but multiple investments per year, because we also recognize that if anyone tells you can go invest in one deal, make 50 times your money or 10 times your money or double your money or 20% of your money, whatever that is, they're wrong. There's risks involved with this kind of investing. You need to be prepared to diversify your portfolio and invest in, I like to tell people 10 deals. So maybe you put 10,000, 10 deals, maybe you put 50,000, 10 deals, but we want people that bring things to the table that can invest in multiple deals. So go ahead, Bernt, you have something you want to share?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add is not so much about the one number, because just as you started out, I don't think it's about any one number. I think it's a little bit about what we can do with each opportunity. I like to think that with our unique backgrounds, we are highly strategic. So in addition to deploying the funds, deploying capital, I think we're deploying knowledge. And I think what we deploy in terms of know-how will allow these investment opportunities, many of them, to kind of see a different type of return than they would without us. And then I think the other aspect is we do business and we think, it's like the old think globally, act locally. So we are global. So for instance, a lot of the opportunities I have seen, and that comes across my desk, it's a great opportunity in this market, and that's how the entrepreneur has been looking at it. But turns out we can take that opportunity and place it, say, in China, and all of a sudden you put that opportunity on steroids. So I think it's very important to look at the totality of the opportunity when you kind of value what's a good or bad investment and what's the right number to invest.
Greg, I want to say one thing that I think is really important. I want to encourage people that to come and join our group that, like you said, can invest multiple times. That 20, 50, 100,000 is not a big concern from a risk perspective, because they're an investor and they understand the market and they have the available capital. However, I do not want to discourage people that are accredited, that maybe are not used to taking on large risk and want to learn about this Jobs Act, want to learn about crowdfunding, want to learn about the new methods of investing. Maybe people have a decent portfolio and a retirement set aside, so they're accredited, but they're not involved in these kind of deal opportunities. So we want to bring them in and educate them in our Mastermind group. We're going to have a variation of people that are very sophisticated and wealthy, but at the same time, we want to open the doors for those up and coming people so that they can learn and participate as well.
Yeah, no, that's I'm glad you said that, and as well as bring value because of some skill set that they have or their career that they've had. So that's good. So I'm going to get a couple more questions in here. So if you're listening live, and we do have people on here live, and you have a question, go in the chat box on the right, type in your question. I will see it, and we'll answer your question live, and then we're going to wrap it up because I know everyone's time is valuable, and I didn't want to go much longer than 30 minutes. So one of the questions that people ask is, can they network with other members? Is there going to be like a membership directory? And so we've talked about it internally at my office. I have not yet talked about it with Bernt and Michael. And so I'm going to just kind of answer this live and get your guys' opinion. Is I would like to create a membership directory on an opt-in basis. So if you want to opt in and be in the directory and make your information available to the other paid members, you can. But otherwise, there are some people that I know, they don't want to be communicated with. They don't want to be talked with. They don't want to, quote unquote, be a network. They just want to invest. So that was kind of my suggestion. We would have an opt-in directory of membership, and people could opt into it, and we would circulate that to the members. But what do you guys think? How about you, Michael, first?
Well, my comments are, as you said, you hit me cold with it, and I hadn't thought about it except for 2 seconds. But my initial impression is this. I think that people may want to opt in and have the right inside the directory to have some limitations, so that you should be able to say, please don't contact me on weekends. Please don't send me cold emails. Please don't send me solicitations for money, or whatever it may be. People are to say, I'm happy to be in the Mastermind group, and I don't mind sharing my office number, but I'm not giving you my cell number, or here's my email. But I think you ought to have a limitation section that people should respect, where you can list in there, only talk to me during office hours, or only email me, or other people might say, hey, call me anytime, email me, whatever. I'm happy to talk to you. But I do think my first gut reaction is people should have the ability to define their limitation of how they want to opt in.
Yep. No, I like that. Just kind of clarify. How about you, Bernt?
No, so I agree with that. The only other thing I will add to what was said here, I think there probably should be some type of central flow of communication. So it's not that all the members are kind of bombarding each other. I think if there is some type of vehicle that allows us to kind of steer traffic, it might be difficult for individual members to be aware of and abide by someone's, say, privacy settings. But that, I think, is part of the service that we can provide. And then if the flow always goes through central, everyone can be contacted exactly the way they would like to. So you get the exposure to the opportunity, but you don't necessarily get, solicited.
Yeah, no, I like that. And so we're going to put something together, and part of the value, I think, is networking. And I can tell you this for sure, is you will be able to network and meet everybody at our events. And we're going to do at least a couple events a year. And these events that we do will be like half-day mastermind events as part of your membership. Then we're probably going to schedule some other events that would be over and above. It'd be a little bit different structure. But like, for instance, our first event's coming up in July, and it's at the Freedom Fest event and the thing we do called the Pitch Tank. And so we're going to kind of do like a bolt-on half-day mastermind there. And in that kind of environment, you'll be able to meet with us, shake hands with us, and if you build rapport with whoever and they give you their contact information, you can talk, you can create that relationship. That's obviously 100%, allowed, and that's what we want to happen. But we're not necessarily just going to create a directory and go, here's all of our investor members, here, take this, because that really is our proprietary asset list of what we're doing and where we're going. So the last question I want to end with is, really is like, why? Why should I join this? And so I'm going to give my perspective, and then I'm going to have each one of you guys to give your perspective of why, what the value proposition is to somebody, of why they would join this, and that's how we're going to end, unless we have some questions. I'm not seeing any questions come in live, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know. So my thing for why, and I don't want to get into the lengthy thing about this, but when I got into the investment banking world very early on, my dad was in what I call the good old boy network. And the good old boy network, literally in the early 80s, we made money on every single deal we invested in. I thought, like, this is the easiest thing in the world, because my dad would get the call. He'd say, Greg, go buy this. We're investing in that. He'd tell me what to do. And we made money on every deal. And I'm like, wow, this is like the easiest thing in the world. And then I kind of got my license, got to do it myself. And I'm like, okay, wait, that's not even reality, right? It's like, it doesn't really work that way. But when you are in a situation where you got guys like Bernt and you guys like Michael, guys like Kevin, and the deal flow we see, and like Bernt was referring to the Rolodex and what we can do. And I'm telling you guys, Michael Fugler, from a vetting, a due diligence, and a structure standpoint, no one better on planet Earth, in my opinion. We really have the opportunity to enhance and have a better opportunity for success. We're not going to hit the ball. No one does 100% of the time, but it really is going to be like our own little good old boys club to invest and do deals. So that's one of the reasons. I think the other reason is to learn. Like Michael said earlier, we are going to be doing webinars on a regular basis, Michael and I, educational webinars. I'm even going to be talking to Michael about doing a podcast. And we're going to be creating, because we want to teach high net worth investors how to invest properly, how to do the best job, how to protect themselves, because we recognize this is what creates jobs, this is what stimulates the economy, this is how America was built, right? So we're really all about that. And then three, my other big thing for doing this is that you really have the opportunity to meet and build relationships. And I'm one of these guys that really believes your net worth is directly correlated to your network. And I am very fortunate to have these guys even on the phone with me and believe in me, let alone partner with me. So I think it's really good for everybody. And as we expand our network, it's good for everybody and that kind of stuff. And the one thing I do want to say about this, if you think $2,500 is too much to invest in this membership, this is not for you, right? This is, if $2,500 is something you have to even consider as thinking about, I don't know, this is not for you, right? That should, matter of fact, we're probably going to increase the price to our membership because we want people that are invested in what we're doing. They believe in what we're doing and they want to bring value to what they're doing, and we want them to participate in what we're doing. And collectively, we're stronger than individually. So that's my reasons why. So let me throw it off to you, Michael, and then we'll go to you, Bernt, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, for years, it's upset me that people get on stages or put together offerings and go out into the marketplace and say things to people, and people are drawn to these exaggerations and outlandish statements. And I see that I don't believe it's going to work. I feel they're misrepresentations. And you watch people like lambs being led to the slaughter. And the thing that I've hoped was the opportunity to be in a group like we have here and to be able to speak out and to protect. I'm not saying that the investors that have experience don't know what they're doing. I'm saying that they're busy people and they're in their own life and they're in their own company and their own world. And to take the time to go and visit hands-on and eyeball to eyeball, and to have years and years of experience of cross-examining people on the stand and trying to read them and going and visiting companies and visiting with secretaries and administrators and clerical people and truck drivers to get a feel and a sense of what's really going on inside that company. That's what I've developed decades of experience with, and that's what I want to share. And that's why people should join in our group, because I'm going to share it on the opportunities that we have. And in turn, it's not just done for you, but it's laid out for you. And then you can make your own judgment call about getting further involved. And Greg, one thing you said you wanted to mention before we left, and maybe before Bernt makes his closing argument there, is that we bring to their attention that we will be talking later about a fund that we have. And not only people going to be getting involved in the Mastermind, but we have the Angel Investor Network Bridge Fund that is involved with all of us and involved with Kevin, and that I'm the fund manager of. And it's the same type of diligence, the same type of caring, the same type of looking out for the investor is what we'll be doing in the fund. And we will be talking on other webinars about that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. How about you, Bernt?
Well, so me, very quickly, I've obviously been very fortunate. So I have worked on brands and businesses personally. I have barely been hands-on in driving transactions worth north of $6 billion. And when you do that, and with the partners that I have, it creates this kind of, for lack of a better word, notoriety in the market. So I remember when we were going out and we were pitching a new kind of fund structure that we were working on a couple of years ago. And in the first several meetings, everyone was like, that's all well and good and it's great, but I can't hear what is your strategy to identify opportunity. And quite frankly, I hadn't thought about the strategy to identify opportunity because we never needed to. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, how do we, with Michael's help, select the right opportunities? Because there are way too many. So for me, the number one reason why anyone would ever want, there's a lot of good reasons, but the deal flow, the pipeline of deals that come through the four of us, it is so powerful. It is unparalleled. And I would say that's the number one reason, because you might be as great as you are, but if you're sitting in your own little silo, you will not have the exposure. I mean, look over my shoulder, someone might be able to spot there are some tall buildings out there. I'm sitting in Trump Tower in Manhattan. We have people up here every day. I've had 2 meetings today already with people pitching deals. I have another one as soon as we're off. I have 2 people coming tomorrow pitching deals. It's nonstop. And that's actually with President Trump coming to town this. I don't know if any of you know that, but we are going through metal detectors. We're being scanned left, right, centers. There are lines all over the place, but it's great. So
very cool.
That would be mine.
Thanks, Bernt and Michael. I don't see any questions. So with that said, The people that are on this call, they have had talked to somebody at our office, and they have been there. And so if you're interested in joining, you can click the link and you can join, or you can call our offices. We want to talk to you, get you more information. But I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and say thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Bernt. We appreciate you. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you. And stay tuned we will be doing some more webinars talking about the fund in detail, and we hope to see you and shake your hands and meet you in Las Vegas at our next event coming up. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.